Nowadays, we've got YouTube, we've got Instagram, like we've got www.com/Google ...
www.com/Google.
Hi there, my name is Elizabeth.
Hey, my name is Ugo.
And welcome to another episode of Youthful Vibes, where we bring fun and enlightenment to the journey of youth. So today we are currently in Singapore.
We are in Singapore. We're doing a tour of Asia. We're going to do Singapore, Malaysia. We're going to do Indonesia, but then we heard you go over there by ferry. We're like, we ain't doing
No,
that.
he heard you go over there by ferry, and
We
he
ain't
can't
doing that.
swim. And he was like, "Babe, that's an hour on water."
Yeah,
And
well,
I
I
was
mean,
like-
I'm okay with an hour on water, but they say you go by ferry. You can tell me there's a
Babe,
canoe
it's
somewhere.
all-
Someone's
Wow, babe.
canoeing.
That shows like how African you are.
Hey.
Ferry is like a gigantic boat that carries lots of people.
You never could tell. Maybe the canoe is called ferry.
Oh gosh. Y'all, please ignore the ignorance that is currently brewing in here and let us enlighten you. So anyway, so we're currently in Singapore, and we have just had a few experiences that has got us thinking about how many people live life in fear, right? Like there is fear in going to a new country and seeking out adventure and trying new things, new food, and feeling like you can go out there and kind of see what the culture is like, right? And so we're like, okay, what are some of the things that cause us to have fear of using our imagination?
Yeah, like why don't people live out of their imagination instead of living out of the conclusions of other people's thought? And we actually, to Effie's point, we had one experience yesterday when we're going out doing touristy things, and we had a stranger. We're having difficulties paying on the bus because we love to use the public transport system. You save a lot of money.
Yes.
But you also experience how the locals live, which we love. So a stranger, this Asian nice guy, stranger just pays for us, and with a smile on his face, and I thought that was really awesome because that's not what you hear about strangers. Growing up, what we heard was strangers have ill intent. Strangers could kidnap you. Strangers could hurt you. But having a stranger pay for us, and it happened in Zurich also when we're there. A stranger took us, actually helped give us direction from a grocery store that we're at, and actually drove us in her car to where we're going. So another stranger helped us with getting a ticket and stuff. So it's like what you were told about life hindering the extent and the vastness of your experience because you're not living from your imagination, but you're living from the fear that you've been taught. That's kind of how this video came about.
Yeah. So like to Ugo's point, like the first point is like breaking chains, right? Like breaking free of those like obligations and those mindsets that have been given to you, whether it be by parents or your circle of friends. Like I was telling Ugo, I'm like, growing up, like our parents were like, let's watch the news. We need to watch the news. We need to watch the news. And literally, y'all, like the news is so depressing. It's literally like someone's getting killed. Someone's robbing somewhere. Like there's bombing all over the world. Somebody's invading somebody's country. And it causes the world to seem like a very, very scary place to the point where you're like, well, I don't know if I want to go visit that country, or I don't know if I want to go to that continent, because you don't know what you're going to expect. Mm-hmm. Or you may share with a friend that, hey, I want to go to this place. And then they're like, oh no, I've heard terrible things. And because of that, like you don't allow yourself to imagine what the possibilities that are out there in the world. And so you kind of stay like closed-minded and in the US or wherever it is, because you've allowed yourself to be influenced by other people's perspective of the world. Yeah.
So the three key parts to the video that we're going to cover, and then we're going to get to why we're calling it Let's Live in Fear. Okay. So the first part is what Wifey covered, is breaking free of the chains of the things, of the dogmas that have been passed down over time of how things should be. My story about strangers, Wifey's story about the news and her parents, and just parents in general, and also friends. There's a circle of influence. That's part one. Part two is then not living from that from memory. So part two now is living from your imagination. And how do you live from your imagination? First thing I want to share, first idea is what we're doing right now is travel. So what we found that traveling opens up the limitations of your mind. It's like you see how other people live. You see how the world outside of your world is. You see how, I mean, like over the past few years, we've been going at least once or twice a year. We've been trying to go out of the US, just go out of our immediate surrounding and just go live, go to Asia, go to Europe, go to South America, just go to different parts of the world. It really expands your moral consciousness, so that when you meet people, you're not just coming from one perspective, the American perspective, or the Nigerian perspective, or the African perspective. You can relate to, it enriches the quality of your life and your life experience. So travel is one.
Yeah, like it's so different here, because like when we were taking the cab over from the airport, like the driver was like telling us, he was like, hey, like in Singapore, everybody does their part. And like we actually experienced it yesterday when we went out to go eat dinner. So like you sit down at the table, but then it's your responsibility to take your plates, your utensils and everything to like the tray return area, so that the next person that's coming is coming to a clean table.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so interesting, because I feel like in the US, like you eat and you get up and you leave everything. Like
most places, and the waiters come and wait after you and stuff like that. I don't know if, like, as we're carrying our dishes and leaving the table, other people were coming in and using the same table. So it's a very efficient system, because now it's like, you can, like, you take care of, you do your part to make this whole run this whole machine or system run smoothly. So that's one, travel. Number two is
reading. So hubby over here loves to read biographies. Now, while I'm not one for biographies, I'm currently reading You're a Badass. And to be quite honest, I'm really loving it. I don't know about you guys, but like reading or listening to audiobooks, like it allows my mind, like I kind of like create my own little characters, and it's like you're watching a movie but you're reading a book, and I really love it, because you get an opportunity to put yourself in that scenario, in that situation of someone being like, oh, I went to Asia and I did this, that and the other, or someone being like, when I was growing up, this is some of the hardship that I went through, but this is how I was able to overcome. Because I know for some people it's like, well, I am not financially sound to be able to travel the world. Well, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to start with the world. Like it doesn't have to start as a global thing. Start by just leaving your state. It can be something that's like a road trip. It could be like you hop in your car with your friend or by yourself and go to a different state, and you start like that. That's how we started. Actually, we didn't start like internationally.
well, we still do a lot of that. We'll still do a lot of travel within the United States. But Dwight's point, which she's now drifted from, is reading does have that impact on your mind. It helps you create. It helps you imaginatively create a reality around what you're reading, or at least images in your head around what you're reading. You're a Badass that she was reading, I read like 3 times, and it's an amazing book, by the way. So if you haven't, please do read it. Well, we didn't write it, so it's just a hype for someone else. I think it's Jen Centuro that's the author, but it's a great book. So the first one is travel and how to expand your imagination. First one is travel. Second one is reading. Third one is writing it out and planning it out. And by that, what we mean is whenever, and this is kind of the premise of this video, and we're going to circle back on it. Whenever you have a new experience, whenever you're about to have a new experience, one of the things that you experience in your gut is fear, right? Because it's uncomfortable. It's not something that you can predict. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what the outcome is going to be if you were to do this thing. And one of the things that helps is writing out what the idea that's new for you is. So you write it out, and don't let your mind criticize it, or let your mind shut it down based on what you know at this point, right? Typically, when you have something new, like a new idea or something that comes from your imagination and pop out of your head, your mind will want to process it based on what you've already experienced before. Don't do that. Write it down first. Write it down first. Just write out. If now is not a good time for it, write it out and have it sit and wait for the right time in the future. But what writing will do for you is it will be the first physical equivalence of this abstract idea that's come to your mind. Typically vacations for me, or like for us, now for us, is like a week at the most. More than a week, But 4 days to a week. And when you're away from everything that you're used to, like your daily routine, your mind starts going to places that it normally wouldn't go to because you're more relaxed, right? And there was an idea that came to my head this morning. First thing I did was I wrote it down. Now, I wrote it down. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to implement it, but it's been captured. It's now been written. So that's it. So that's another impactful way of going about it, is write it out and plan it out, because maybe it's not now that imagination or idea of yours will come to pass, but if you have it documented, when the time is right, you have it to reference.
Yeah, that's a really good point, babe. Like, I was just also thinking that the more experiences you have, the more relaxed and free you feel when you start going out more. And the reason I say that is because, like, last year we went to Paris, right? And later, while we're like, at first when we were in Paris, we were kind of like Ubering around, taxiing around, and that can get like super expensive. And then like the more days we spent in Paris, we realized that there were like opportunities for us to rent electric bicycles, to rent scooters and things of that nature, which is a very inexpensive way for us to get around, because a lot of the places we were going were very close to us. And so then coming here, the only time we've taken a taxi so far is just to get from the airport here, because we were kind of like, we just want to get to our hotel. It was a 2-day journey. Yeah. But ever since then, like, we've gotten more comfortable with being like, hey, we just want to take public transport to kind of see more of where we're at. And I feel like it's very different, because when we first started traveling, that wasn't something that we were comfortable with or something that we even thought about. So the more you get out there, the more you kind of see the opportunities that you have available to you, and the more you'll feel comfortable getting out there and doing different things. Yeah. So then the last thing about using your imagination is, y'all, you can use other people's life experiences. Like I was telling hubby, I'm like, some people might be like, I'm not comfortable because I don't know what to expect. Well, guess what? You're not the first person that has probably gone to where you're trying to go. Like nowadays, we've got YouTube, we've got Instagram, we've got all these folks that are traveling that are okay with giving you tips and just being like, I went here, this hotel was great, I did this is like a touristy thing to do. Like, we've got www.com/Google ...
www.com/Google.
I'm just saying, these days we've got the World Wide Web, okay? Yeah. Like, you have the ability to research at your fingertips. So don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel. It's already been invented.
Yeah, and the same goes for whether you're talking about going someplace that you've never been before in terms of physical location, or going someplace that you've never been before in terms of life experience. Let me give you an example. Whenever we have something, like say God gives us an idea, or whenever we have a God instruction, hey, do this, or whatever the case is, one of the first things that we do is find someone that's done it before, or find someone that is currently living in the present what we're looking to accomplish or manifest, whatever the case is. And we either find them and understudy them from a distance, or we find them and look for a way to experience them. We made a video a little while ago about looking for finding mentors and all that. And it's something similar. When it comes to travel, you can go look for people who've gone to where you're looking to go and see the world from their perspective before you go experience it yourself. Yeah. If it's not travel, if it's you want to change careers or whatever, find people, go watch YouTube videos or something of people who have done something similar, and then go try it. But the premise of the video, again, to make sure that we're staying on point, to bring everything together, is live in fear. Like, whenever you have the audacity to hash an idea that's different or that's new, you will most likely feel fear. Don't let the fear stop you. Do it with the fear. Okay, do it in fear. I don't think it's a feeling or a response that you can shake. I don't think it's something that I was sharing with wifey. It happens to me every time. Like, there's that programming of, strangers are out there, or strangers have this, ill intent. Like you're gonna feel it if you were taught that growing up. But whatever the case is, do it in fear. Like live your dreams in fear. Yeah. Sounds weird to say it, but it's the truth. Like, don't let the fear stop you. Do it regardless of the fear. Yeah.
I was telling hubby, I said, like, a very big part of it, like the very first part is acknowledging that you have that feeling. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like a lot of us will just be like, I just don't want to do it. But why don't you want to do it? Like, acknowledge the fact that I've got feelings. that, you know, may not necessarily make sense. Like, I am scared that I will go out into the world and somebody is gonna steal me, okay? Like, that is a valid fear. However, like, once you've acknowledged that, okay, what is in my mind? How did I see this going? What did I want to experience? And how can I make that happen? That's really like a big part of where that writing it out comes in, because like you've already written out that idea, you've already seen that plan. So like whenever you're having that feeling, just bring back out your notebook, your phone, wherever it is that you've written that idea, and like reread it again and say, okay, this is my imagination, this is my idea, this is what I want, and I'm gonna chase it, I'm gonna go after it, because that's what it means to be a badass.
So live not from your past, not from your past experiences, but from your imagination. Don't let your future be held captive by your past. Okay? And that's it. Have an amazing week. Like, subscribe, share, do all that cool stuff.
And travel the world.
And travel. Get out there. Go see what's out there. See what's in your immediate environment. Okay? Until next time, do we love them?
Yes, we love them.
I don't know if
oh my gosh. Okay, we love y'all.
All right, we gotta go do some cable car riding and all that cool stuff, all that touristy stuff.
Yes.